Hello, I'm Terry Martin. Good to have you with us. A massive earthquake has hit Taiwan, causing serious damage and knocking out power to tens of thousands. The strongest earthquake in 25 years was centered near the city of Hualien on Taiwan's eastern coast. 4 people have been confirmed dead and more than 50 are injured. The National Fire Agency say some people are trapped after dozens of buildings and tunnels collapsed. The powerful 7.5 magnitude quake initially prompted tsunami warnings for Japan and the Philippines, which have since been lifted. For the very latest, let's cross to our East Asia Bureau in Taipei and our correspondent there, James Chater. James, how badly has Taiwan been affected by this quake?
Well, as you mentioned in that introduction, this is now the most powerful earthquake to strike Taiwan in 25 years. The majority of those casualties and injuries you mentioned, we're seeing in that eastern city of Hualien. That's also where we're seeing the most shocking kind of social media images coming out from this earthquake. Some landslides reducing rock faces to dust and rubble. Also some buildings angles almost at 45 degrees to the ground. And that's where we also believe some of the people are still trapped in those buildings. Now, one of the other things that people will, of course, be looking at is the impact on the semiconductor industry in Taiwan, which produces some 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. That biggest company, the most important company, TSMC, so far says that the operations at their factories have been largely unhindered. There was a brief period of evacuation, but operations so far seem to be proceeding without too much interference from this earthquake. But just the other thing that people will be concerned about in the coming hours is that we've had a really significant number of aftershocks since this main earthquake struck at about 8 a.m. In the 4 hours after the earthquake, we had about 58 aftershocks, 2 of which were above a magnitude 6. So concerns in the coming hours about the impact of those aftershocks.
What about other countries in the region, James? Tsunami warnings were issued for a wide area.
Absolutely. The main area of Japan that was potentially looked like it could be impacted by this earthquake were these southwestern islands, Okinawa prefecture. Some of the islands in that prefecture are actually very, very close to the Taiwanese mainland. This is islands like Yonaguni, Ishigaki, where tsunami warnings were issued, and some tsunami waves actually reached those islands within an hour, actually, of this earthquake taking place. Those warnings have since been lifted. It seems that the impact on the Japanese parts of Okinawa prefecture and also the Philippines have been largely unaffected. Flights have resumed to Okinawa. But again, Japanese authorities particularly are warning, given that we have seen this large number of aftershocks, that people in these islands should remain cautious because aftershocks, even of a magnitude 6, which we have seen, still have the potential to trigger tsunami waves.
Now, the region is no stranger to earthquakes. Are people there generally well prepared?
Yeah, Taiwan has a very well-oiled response mechanism to this type of earthquake. The response and emergency services really spring into action. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has said military personnel are on their way to the most affected zones. And of course, you know, we have seen really, really damaging earthquakes in Taiwan's history. For example, the 1999 earthquake, where we had some 2,000 people killed and tens of thousands of buildings destroyed. Since that earthquake took place, we've had much more stringent restrictions and regulations in terms of earthquake-proofing buildings, and that's why we really don't see the level of destruction you might expect from an earthquake of this magnitude in Taiwan.
James, thank you very much. That was our correspondent, James Chater, in Taipei.